I'm so excited to tell you about In His Word, a woman-owned, family-run Christian brand from the Pacific Northwest. 3 sisters and their moms started this business out of their kitchen, creating faith-based apparel and home goods designed to keep us rooted in God's Word. Every design is prayed over, crafted by hand, and made with the mission of helping you carry Scripture into your everyday life. Whether it's a bold reminder or something more subtle that keeps your heart steady, you can shop their collection at inhisword.us and use my code Jackie Espada for $10 off orders over $70. That's inhisword.us. Faith you can wear and carry wherever you go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Bible Study for Overthinkers. I am your host, Jackie Espada, and honestly, today is going to be a good one. I hope that, I know this is a new thing that we're doing here, different day, different time, but I see you guys filing in there, slowly but surely, and I hope that you guys are excited. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this all week. We had a really, really nice time on Sunday, and I hope to continue that into Thursday, and I know this is late for a lot of you guys. Oh man, sorry about that. But I know this is late for a lot of you guys, and I hope that if you're watching this, we on replay, you will be just as encouraged and enlightened as we are here live this evening. So if you guys don't mind, please hit that thumbs up, whether you're watching here on my Rumble channel or on my YouTube channel, because we are streaming live to YouTube as well, because YouTube needs a little bit of Jesus as well. So so we're streaming to YouTube, we're streaming to Rumble, we're streaming to X. So wherever you guys are watching, make sure to hit that thumbs up if you guys don't mind, and share this out with a friend, because I think, during these times, especially with all the craziness going on, it is nice to be able to just slow down and dig into His Word. So thank you guys for being here. Good evening. God bless you. I love you guys. And it's going to be a great time. Last session together, what we did was we read from Genesis 1 all the way through Genesis 11. And so I figured, why not pick up from there and continue on through the book of Genesis? And I figured today, because the whole, if this is your first time joining, because I know this is new for a lot of you guys, you may not have been here on Sunday, which is fine. We're glad you're here. But the intent behind this Bible study is to basically try to get through the entire book of the Bible. So we're trying to get through the entire Bible in a year. And so we're going to attempt to that. If we're not putting too much pressure on ourselves, if we don't get through the entire if we don't get through the entire Bible, that would be okay. And again, I appreciate you guys. I know this is it's an odd hour of the night for us to be together. I know that you guys are jumping ship from other programs, which is, I don't want to ever feel like I'm calling people away, because I know how it feels to be on the receiving end of that. Because I know a lot of people jump ship on my shows to go watch other ones. So we're gonna try to figure it out, and timing and all of that, and seeing maybe if this may not be the best time, and that's quite okay. But we're here. We're going to read through the Word and hopefully get through the entire Bible in a year. I have it mapped out for the month of January right now to get through the entire books of Genesis and Exodus. So it's going to be a fun time. We're not going to read, straight through the Bible. We're going to read with a little bit of motion. So we may not stay through just, straight, and we may jump around a little bit. I hope that's okay with you guys. But, keep it fresh, keep it exciting, keep it new, and hopefully keep you guys engaged. And of course, there is no pressure for you guys to be here every episode. It's unrealistic, honestly. At least to be here live every episode. That's unrealistic. But I will try my best to be here live as much as possible. And we we will the way that I've planned this out, there is a little bit of wiggle room. So we should be good to go. But thank you to In His Word. That was our first sponsor of the show tonight. They are, of course, a woman-owned Christian-based brand and faith-based, and it's honestly one of my favorite brands right now. And I actually have to wash my sweaters and my shirt because I've worn them quite a bit. But they are in the wash, and so I would show you, but they're dirty. But yeah, In His Word has a great collection. And of course, if you see something that is sold out on their website, you can absolutely reach out to them and see if they would be able to make you something, in your size. Because they hand make every single order. So that, and if you have a bulk order, let's say that you want to get your, church men's group or women's group a t-shirt, they can do that for you as well. So reach out to them and shop inhisword.us and use my code Jackie Espada for $10 off orders over $70. So thank you for shopping In His Word, and we'll get to more sponsors later on in this evening. But we'll jump right in to today's first chapter of the night. And what we did last time, if this is your first time, is I will read everything for you. You guys don't have to do the heavy lifting of the reading, which I hope that is all right with you, because why not? But if you do want to follow along, I am reading from the She Reads Truth Bible, and you can't really see it because there's a lot of light. It's fine. I need it for my face. The She Reads Truth Bible, and this is the Christian Standard Bible. If you guys want to follow along in the book, because I know sometimes I like to do that as well, you can absolutely do that. This is the Christian Standard Bible version, and you can get, there's free apps everywhere that you can download and follow along if you want. And of course, if you guys have any commentary or questions or anything like that, feel free to pop them in the chat. After I read a chapter, I usually go into the chat and we kind of discuss things and bounce off each other, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope that you guys are ready. I hope that you guys are excited. And I forgot to pull something up, and I'll do that real quick. Last week, before we get into the actual, and we'll keep discussing this as we get to the actual verses. But last week we were discussing the creation story, right? And I told you guys that I found this image and thought it was very interesting. So here is the image that I found, and it's talking about like the earth and everything. And of course, I don't necessarily know and call myself you know, a a theological scholar or anything like that, but I thought this was cool. And so basically it says if you take the Bible literally, and this person does, then your view of reality will not look like a NASA press release or Hollywood planetarium show. It will look far more ancient, far more ordered, and far more terrifying. This image is meant to satisfy modern science. It is meant to reflect the language of scripture as God gave it without smoothing the edges or spiritualizing the hard parts away. The Bible does not speak in abstractions. When it describes creation, it speaks in structure, layers, boundaries, foundation, and realms. So I'm not going to read all of this. What I'll do is I'll throw this in the chat for you guys if you want to keep looking at it. But I thought the image of it was cool. So I'd never seen the earth presented this way. So here's make this full. You guys can see this, right? So it's interesting, if nothing else. So obviously we've got the lowest hell, which is supposedly in Deuteronomy 32:22. Then we have lower hell, which is Psalm 139:18. Then we have the pillars of the earth, which is in Job 9:2. We have the ice wall. We have the sea. And then we get to the actual earth, and it's the flat earth, according to what is being said in Isaiah 40:21. Then we have the sun, moon, and stars, which are in Isaiah 40:22. The greater light, the lesser light, and it looks like this is like the firmament. And then we have outer darkness, sea of glass, which is mentioned in Genesis 1:5, and then the heavens in the throne of God from Isaiah 66:1. So I don't know how true this is, and I just thought it was a cool image to kind of see what could have been what is being mentioned. So yeah, that is that is what I have for you there. And like I said, I threw that in the chat. And actually what I'll do is I'll throw it in the comments as well, because I know people who are watching this on replay want the links too. So here's that. Dropped it in the comments as well, so people who are watching on replay can have that. And without further ado, let's get into chapter 12. So we are reading, like I said, from the She Reads Truth Bible, Christian Standard Bible, if you want to follow along. And we are starting with Genesis chapter 12, which is titled Instructions for the Passover. So here we get into this. And last week we got into Noah and all of those things, and that was a good time. So I hope that you guys are ready for Genesis chapter 12. And for those who are just joining us, hello. And we're just getting started. So here we go with chapter 12. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month is to be the beginning of months for you. It is the first month of your year. Tell the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, they must each select an animal of the flock according to their father's families, one animal per family. If the household is too small for a whole animal, that person and the neighbor nearest his house are to select one based on the combined number of people. You should apportion the animal according to what each will eat. You must have an unblemished animal. A year-old male, you may take it from either the sheep or the goats. You are to keep it until the 14th day of this month. Then the whole assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter the animal at twilight. They must take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and the lintel of the houses where they eat them. They are to eat the meat that night. They should eat it, roasted over the fire along with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or cooked in boiling water, but only roasted over fire, its head as well as its legs and inner organs. You must not leave any of it until morning. Any part of it left until morning you must burn. Here is how you must eat it. You must be dressed for travel, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You are to eat it in a hurry. It is the Lord's Passover. I will pass through the land of Egypt on that night and strike every firstborn male in the land of Egypt, both people and animals. I am the Lord. I will execute judgments against all the gods of Egypt. The blood on the houses where you are staying will be a distinguishing mark for you. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. No plague will be among you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. This day is to be a memorial for you, and you must celebrate it as a festival to the Lord. You are to celebrate it throughout your generations as a permanent statute. You must eat unleavened bread for 7 days. On the first day, you must remove yeast from your houses. Whoever eats what is leavened from the first day through the 7th day must be cut off from Israel. You are to hold a sacred assembly on the first day and another sacred assembly on the 7th day. No work may be done on those days except for preparing what people need to eat. You may do only that. You are to observe the festival of the unleavened bread because on this very day I brought your military divisions out of the land of Egypt. You must observe this day throughout your generations as a permanent statute. You are to eat unleavened bread in the first month from the evening of the 14th day of the month until the evening of the 21st day. Yeast must not be found in your houses for 7 days. If anyone eats something leavened, that person, whether a resident alien or native of the land, must be cut off from the community of Israel. Do not eat anything leavened. Eat unleavened bread in all your homes. All right. Got to switch the page. And it's here we go. There's a lot of rules in this. Wait. Am I reading Exodus? I'm reading Exodus. I knew that I was doing something different. I was reading Exodus. I was supposed to be in Genesis. Oh man, that is so funny. I was reading the Passover rules and I was like, wait, this sounds like the stuff that I was supposed to be reading for my other Bible study. You're darn right it is. We're on chapter 12 of Genesis, not 12 of Exodus. And so chapter 12 of Genesis is the call of Abram. Ha ha! Joke's on me. Oh man. So I hope that you guys got a got a nice little tease of what's to come. Oh man, you guys should have stopped me. But it's fine. Anyways, let's go with chapter 12 of Genesis, not Exodus. The call of Abram. The Lord said to Abram, "Go from your land, your relatives, and your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse anyone who treats you with contempt, and all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you." This sounds like where we're supposed to be. Oh man. All right, this is verse 4 for those that are just tuning in. So Abram went as the Lord had told him. And that right there, this we talked about this last week or last session on Sunday. We talked about how Genesis, in my opinion, is really talking about the obedience. How obedient are you to God's word? If when God says move, do you move immediately or do you wait? And in this one, the Lord called Abram, and right away in verse 4, it says Abram went as the Lord had told him. Immediate obedience, not partial faith. He immediately got up and was like, "Okay, Lord, I'm doing what you told me to do." And so Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan. When they came to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the site of Shechem at the oak of Moreh. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he moved on to the hill country east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the east and Ai on the east, or Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. He built an altar to the Lord there, and he called on the name of the Lord. Then Abram journeyed by stages to the Negev. Abram and Egypt. There was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to stay there for a while because the famine in the land was severe. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "Look, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' They will kill me, but let you live. People say, or please say, 'You're my sister, so it will go well for me because of you, and my life will be spared on your account.'" When Abram entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was very beautiful. Pharaoh's officials saw her and praised her to Pharaoh, so the woman was taken to Pharaoh's household. He treated Abram well because of her, and Abram acquired flocks and herds, male and female donkeys, male and female slaves, and camels. But the Lord struck Pharaoh and his household with severe plagues because of Abram's wife Sarai. So Pharaoh sent to Abram and said, "What have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She's my sister,' so that I took her as my wife? Now, here is your wife. Take her and go." Then Pharaoh gave his men orders about him, and they sent him away with his wife and all he had. So that's a lesson right there, that even though Abram was not not the most upstanding guy, and we'll see this whole deception thing play out a few more times just in the New Testament, or just in Genesis alone, to be honest. So we'll see this same thing happen multiple times, and it rings true that God is still faithful even when we fail. And that's a huge lesson for all of us, that we should all kind of be just reminded of that God is still faithful. He's going to show up even when we lie, when we cheat, when we sin. He's always going to be there, and he's going to continue to make sure that we're okay, and make sure that, we're just a constant reminder of who he is in our lives. So, yeah. All right, let's continue on. Let's continue on with chapter 13. And I promise you, I'm going to be reading the correct chapter 13 from now on. We're in the right book. There's so many in this. Like, hello? Look at all these books, man. I had someone ask someone on Alpha's Mixed Sandwiches um on Monday. They we were talking about resolutions, and one of them that we were talking about was reading like 52 books in a year. And someone asked if reading the Bible counted for 52 bucks. And I honestly want to say yes, because this, I mean, it's cool that the just reading through this and kind of digging into it again with as an adult. Um it's so cool. There's like so, especially in Genesis. The Genesis stories are so cool, and digging in Luke uh digging in Luke in December when we were reading for Christmas. That was fun too. I enjoy all of the little stories about Jesus, and it's cool. It's cool. I enjoy it. This is one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book. Actually, it is my favorite book. The Bible is my favorite book. You heard it here first. So next, let's get into chapter 13. Abram and Lot separate. Abram went out from Egypt to the Negev. He, his wife, and all he had, and Lot with him. Abram was very rich in livestock, silver and gold. He went from by stages from the Negev to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had formerly been, to the site where he had built the altar. And Abram called on the name of the Lord there. Now Lot, who was traveling with Abram, had also had flocks, herds, and tents, but the land was unable to support them as long as they stayed together, for they had so many possessions that they could not stay together. And there was quarreling between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. At that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were living in the land. So Abram said to Lot, "Please, let's not have quarreling between you and me, or between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, since we are relatives. Isn't the whole land before you? Separate from me. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left." Lot looked out and saw that the entire plain of the Jordan, as far as Zoar, was well watered everywhere, like the Lord's garden and the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose the entire plain of the Jordan for himself. Then Lot journeyed eastward, and they separated from each other. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, but Lot lived in the cities on the plain and set up his tent near Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were evil, sinning immensely against the Lord. After Lot had separated from him, the Lord said to Abram, "Look from the place where you are. Look north and south, east and west, for I will give you and your offspring forever all the land that you see. I will make you offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust of the earth, then your offspring could be counted. Get up and walk around the land, through its length and width, for I will give it to you." So Abram moved his tent and went to live near the oaks of Mamre at Hebron, where he built an altar to the Lord. So that this is, this is we're on a good path, I think. However, with the blessing that, God gave Abram and his family that land, there came friction. There was friction with within Lot and Abram and their herdsmen and all of that, and obviously they have to figure out, they have to separate, and that's okay. And it's funny because it's always the families. It's always within the families that we see this little, the spats going on, and just the unnecessary drama. It's always them. And sometimes we need to separate. And honestly, that is okay. It's in the Bible, guys. It's literally right here. You go to the left and I'll go to the right. We don't have to be amongst each other. We may have, big attitudes, lots of things. It's okay. It's okay. We can do it. Because with that separation, it brings sight and it brings more blessings, because with that, he sent us away from each other. But with that, he's saying that we're going to be so fruitful. We're going to be so, we're going to have offspring like the dust of the earth, that you really can't even count it. So that is a huge, I'd rather have that kind of blessing than sit there and arguing and quarreling with my family all day and all night. But that's just me. So we'll give them a pass, I guess. But I think that's a good lesson for us to kind of pick up on is it's okay. Separation kind of brings light and positivity in some ways and kind of quells that friction that is going on. So thank you guys. All right, let's continue. We're gonna be reading chapter 14 now. We're on Abram rescues Lot. So here we go. Oh yeah, Salbish. She said it. She said, "Yep, lots of those separations, a lot of that separation happening these days." I know. I feel it in my own family. I 100% feel it. And it's okay because I think I mentioned this last. I had to turn that other light off. It was too bright. Maybe I turn this other light up. Just felt like I looked very white, and I'm not that white. I'm kind of brown. It's the winter is making me a little white. Um okay, yes, but yes, we're a separation was fun this Christmas if I'm being honest. And I feel like that separation brings clarity too. And it's quite all right to have that. Let's see. All right. Chapter 14. I'm so sorry to hear that, Art Mama 82. My dad died and the family separated. I so that happens a little bit. That happened too with my big family, the Padilla family. Um once my great grandmother passed away, we used to always go over to her house on Sunday evenings and just be like my second cousins and there'd be at least 30 people in the house every single Sunday. So after she died, we really just never kept up with them and we didn't have Christmases or anything like that anymore and it just the families got smaller and smaller. Family gatherings at least did. But I feel like it needed to happen. That siphoning process needed to happen because now I feel like our core family unit, like me, my mom, my brother, Cam, and Lauren, just the five of us. Lauren's my brother's girlfriend. The five of us, I feel like we're just so close now. And getting closer with the people who want to be in our circles, like my uncle and his family. And it's just it just feels more aligned. But it is what it is. All right, chapter 14. Abram rescues Lot. In those days, King I'm going to just preface this by saying that I don't always pronounce everything correctly. And if that's the case, just forgive me because God forgives me. In those days, King Amraphel of Shinar, King Arioch of Elisar, King Chedorlaomer of Elam, and King Tidal of Golan waged war against King Bera of Sodom, King Bersha of Gomorrah, King Shinab of Admah, and King Shemebar of Zeboim, as well as the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All of these came as allies to the Siddim Valley, that is the Dead Sea. They were subject to Chedorlaomer for 12 years, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer, Chedorlaomer, I don't know. We'll see. That sounds good to me. And the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephaim and Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and Zuzan and Ham, and Eman and Sheva, Kiriathaim, and the Horites in the mountains of Seir, as far as El Paran by the wilderness. Then they came back to invade in Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and they defeated the whole territory of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites who lived in Hazazon Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and lined up for the battle of Siddim in the Siddim Valley against King Chedorlaomer of Elam, King Tidal of Goim, King Amraphel of Shinar, and King Arioch of Elisar, 4 kings against 5. Now the Siddim Valley contained many asphalt pits, and as the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into them, but the rest fled to the mountains. The four kings took all the gods of Sodom and Gomorrah, all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their food, and went on. They also took Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, for he was living in Sodom, and they went on. One of the survivors came and told Abram the Hebrew, who lived near the oaks belonging to Mamre the Amorite, the brother of Eshcol and the brother of Aner. They were bound by a treaty with Abram. When Abram heard that his relative had been taken prisoner, he assembled his 318 trained men born in his household, and they went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he and his servants deployed against them by night, defeated them, and pursued them as far as Hobah to the north of Damascus. He brought back all the goods and also his relative Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the other people. So we can see here that Lot's choice led to trouble for him. So let's see what happens next. This is verse 17 in chapter 14. Melchizedek's blessing. After Abram returned from defeating I'm going to be so sick of this name. Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom, went out to meet him in the Sheva Valley, that is the King's Valley. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest to God Most High. He blessed him and said, Abram is blessed by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed by God Most High, who has handed over your enemies to you. And Abram gave him a tenth of everything. Then the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the people, but take the possessions for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand in an oath to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread or sandal strap or anything that belongs to you, so you can never say, I made Abram rich. I will take nothing except what the servants have eaten. But as for the share of the men who came with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, they can take their share. So I think that blessing is very interesting. So he is blessed by a priest king. And that right there, to me, kind of foreshadows Jesus in a sense. And then later on, it says that Abram gave him a tenth of everything. And I was wondering, and I kind of wrote this in here. I don't think I ever got an answer. But was this the first ever tithe? Was this Abram's, the Abram giving a tenth of everything? Even though it wasn't, it was. Or was it not a tithe because it was going to Melchizedek? So that's interesting. I probably look it up. I'll do that. But I'll also give you some time in the chat to kind of see if you have an answer. So, yes. Let's see. So Melchizedek's blessing, Abram. Is that the first tithe? Okay. So yeah, so it does. I looked just a quick search on just Google said that yes, Abram or Abraham's act of giving a tenth of the spoils to Melchizedek after his victory is the Bible's first recorded instance of tithing. Yeah. So he's a priest of God Most High, blesses Abraham. Yeah. So that right there. But also, so that was the next thing, that was the first tithe. And then the next thing that we see is that Abram comes to the king and says, actually, king, I'm not going to accept anything from you. I can't. The Lord told me not to. And that really does solidify that Abram is depending on God. He's 100% being obedient to him. He, when God said move, he did what he told him to do. And now God told him, he's like, look, I'm going to bless you. Just rely on me. Go and get Lot from where he is and come back to where you're supposed to be. So that, shows straight up he's obedient, he is listening to what God has to say, and he is not depending on any man to give him wealth or reward him or anything like that, because he knows that God is going to do it for him. And I think that's huge. I think we should all have faith like that. And that's the faith that he's asking from us. So, thank you. All right. Salbish, she sent in before we get into the the Abrahamic covenant, Salbish sent in a Rumble rant, and I appreciate that. That is always greatly appreciated. And it says, don't worry, Jackie. The words get much easier to pronounce in Matthew. Oh, great. I got quite a ways to go. Thank you so much for answering God's call and doing this for us. God's blessing upon you and Cam, his faithful servants. Thank you so much. And I'm just glad that we have this time together and we're going to be doing this. This is fun. This is fun for me. So I hope a no pressure, because I mean I've said this before and I'll continue to say it. I am not a biblical scholar in any shape or form. So I'm reading the words, and if you guys laugh with me as I'm trying to figure it out and stumble through the words, then so be it. But I really do think that there's deeper meaning here, and we're trying to figure it out, and we're all baby Christians. I know that you guys probably are further along than I am. And that's why I did this, that I'm opening space for you guys to kind of teach me too, and which it was great on Sunday. So I hope that we can continue that conversation. And if you're watching this on replay, please feel free to throw whatever thoughts or feelings you have in the chat. And we will continue to read them and kind of and discuss them too. So yeah, but before we get into the Abrahamic covenant, you can see that my mouth is dry because I'm stumbling over the words. I'm gonna fuel up, if you will. I call you guys to fuel up too. If this is your thing. All right, let's continue. This is Genesis chapter 15. And this is, like I said, the Abrahamic covenant. So let's see. After these events, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward will be very great. But Abraham said, Lord God, what can you give me since I am childless and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus? Abram continued, Look, you have given me no offspring, so a slave born in my house will be my heir. Now the word of the Lord came to him. This one will not be your heir. Instead, one who comes from your own body will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look at the sky and count the stars, if you are able to count them. Then he said to him, Your offspring will be that numerous. And gosh, just think about that. The cosmic scale of God's faithfulness. He said, look at the stars, and if you can count them, that's how numerous your offspring will be. Just think about that. Like, that is crazy. So Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. He also said to him, I am the Lord who brought you from Ur, or of the Chaldeans, to give you this land to possess. But he said, Lord God, how can I know that I will possess it? He said to him, Bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So he brought all these to him, cut them in half, and laid the pieces opposite each other. But he did not cut the birds in half. Birds of prey came down on the carcasses, but Abram drove them away. As the sun was setting, a deep sleep came over Abram, and suddenly great terror and darkness descended on him. Then the Lord said to Abram, Know this for certain, your offspring will be resident aliens for 400 years in a land that does not belong to them and will be enslaved and oppressed. However, I will judge the nation they serve, and afterward they will go out with many possessions. but you will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the fourth generation, they will return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. When the sun had set, and it was dark, a smoking firepot and a flaming torch appeared and passed between the divided animals. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, I give this land to your offspring from the brook of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates River, the land of the Canaanites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hethites, Perizzites, Rephaim, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. Crazy. So this is the Abrahamic covenant. First, we start off with, God being the reward. He's saying, look, don't be afraid. Your reward will be great. Just listen. This is what he's saying. Listen, Linda. Listen, Linda. Do what I say, and you will be greatly blessed. Okay. Then he tells you, he reminds you almost that God's cosmic scale, just look at the stars. All of the stars that you see, that's how many people are going to be coming from you. That's how big your family is going to be. Then we have the covenant ritual. So he tells them, bring me the cow, the female goat, the ram, turtle dove, and a young pigeon. Bring me those, sacrifice them, lay them out the way that I'm asking you to do. Covenant ritual. This is how you do it. Then he talks about the Egyptian captivity. He says that you're going to be resident aliens for 400 years. So he's basically saying, this is the plan. This is how I'm laying out the plan. You just have to follow the checklist kind of thing. So that, and then God says, this is what I'm offering to you. So yeah, that is the Abrahamic covenant. So yeah, I hope that makes sense to you guys. I don't really have a whole lot to say on that, if we're being honest, because there's so many other things to get to. And yeah, this is fun. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. Well, before we get into actually, we'll read 16 and then we'll get into another ad. Because we've got some bills to pay, and I actually have some cool things to teach, to like kind of remind you of. So here we go. Chapter 16, Hagar and Ishmael. Abram's wife, Sarai, had not borne any children for him, but she owned an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, since the Lord has prevented me from bearing children, go to my slave. Perhaps through her I can build a family. And Abram agreed to what Sarai said. So Abram's wife Sarai took Hagar, her Egyptian slave, and gave her to her husband Abram as a wife for him. This happened after Abram had lived in the land of Canaan 10 years. So I was wondering, does anybody know, before we continue, why those 10 years are important? Drop them in the chat. Let me know. Because I'm not sure if the reason why they pointed it out that he had been in Canaan for 10 years is important. And I'm just missing it. So he slept with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When she saw that she was pregnant, her mistress became contemptible to her. Then Sarai said to Abram, you are responsible for my suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and when she saw that she was pregnant, I became contemptible to her. May the Lord judge between me and you. So that, I feel like that echoes Eden. That echoes Eden is listening to someone other than God. She's listening to the snake. Eden told her that you need to eat this fruit. And now Sarai is feeling jealous because God said, take Hagar as your wife and have yourself a child. And God was, actually no, Sarai was the one. Sarai was the one that came to Abram and was like, here, have my slave as your child, and was actually, after the fact, was like super jealous about it. So don't do that. Let's see. Okay, well, actually, I'm reading what you guys said in the chat. Rebecca W6 said, it's always good to note that it was God who made the covenant with Abram. It was unbreakable, 100%. Yes, And I actually wrote that in the margin. It says God binds himself to Abram. So Amber said God made covenant with himself because he knew Abraham could not keep it. Ooh, that's a good one too. Thank you. All right, let's get back into this. Verse 6 of chapter 16 says, Abram replied to Sarai, Here, your slave is in your power. Do whatever you want with her. Then Sarai mistreated her so much that she ran away from her. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. He said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? She replied, I'm running away from my mistress Sarai. The angel of the Lord said to her, Go back to your mistress and submit to her authority. The angel of the Lord said to her, I will greatly multiply your offspring, and they will be too many to count. The angel of the Lord said to her, You have conceived and will have a son, and you will name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your cry of affliction. This man will be like a wild donkey. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him, and he will settle near all his relatives. So he named the Lord who spoke to her, You are El Roy. For she said, In this place have I actually seen the one who sees me? That is why the well is called Bir Lahai Roy. It is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave birth to Abram's son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to him. That's old. That's an old guy. But I mean, what Noah was like 900 years old. So they were that's young. Anyways, okay. So Hagar, Ishmael, uh Sarai, Abram. Obviously, Sarai is very jealous. She, told Abram, "Here, take my wife or take my slave to be your wife and do what you need to do so that you can have yourself an heir." This is not what God ordained at all. Initially, he knew that it was going to happen, obviously, but it wasn't part of his own plan. That he came to Sarai and was like, "Here, you need to do this." Um, so that happened. Hagar gets run off because Sarai's not being very nice. And I feel like this is the first time that we see an angel or hear from an angel. And actually, not hear from an angel, but see an angel because it actually says the angel of the Lord found her by a spring in the wilderness. And it calls her out by her name. It calls Hagar out by her name, which we see in The Chosen is a huge thing. Anywhere that, basically, God says, Who you say I am, name me. This is my name. Say my name. So angel calls out Hagar by her name. And I feel like I'm gonna look this up. Is that comes to Hagar the first time? I don't think so. Yes, that angel that comes to Hagar is widely considered the first appearance of an angel in the Bible, specifically the angel of the Lord, a unique figure often interpreted as a pre incarnate manifestation of Jesus Christ. This divine messenger appears to Hagar as a foreign slave woman in the desert, offering her comfort, guidance, and God's promises, making her the first person in scripture to receive such a direct angelic visitation. So, yeah, that that would be the first angel that we see come to somebody. Good to know. All right. And then the next thing so the angel comes to Hagar, calls her out by name, and then we see a foreshadowing of Ishmael's character. They say that he's going to be a man wild like a donkey. So, yeah. So it's called a theophany. That's cool. What is a theophany? I don't know what that means. A theophany is a visible manifestation to humankind of God or a god. Ah, okay. See, I'm learning things. We're learning. So the angel of the Lord may be the pre-incarnate Jesus is what I've been taught. Yeah, so that's what I just said too. So that we're learning. And this is comes from a Simpsons meme. So let's see. Simpsons. We're learning. Oh, we're learning. Here it is. Haha. I may get a strike on YouTube for this, and I think it's worth it. Ah, boo. Hold on. Let me pull this in now. Add to stage, and here we go.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Super Nintendo Chalmers. I'm learning.
Way to go, Ralph.
So that's us. We're learning. Oh man, I'm silly. And it is what it is. And yes, and Deb Rich, she says in Somalian it's called leaning or leering. Leering. Yes. It is leering, the leering center. So yes, the more you know. But yes, Elroy is I don't know if is this the first time that is this the first name of God? No. Okay. So it's Elroy is not God's first name, but it is significant Hebrew name meaning the God who sees me. So that is that is why we use that. So it signifies God's personal watchful presence and care for individuals, especially those who are suffering and overlooked, which in this case makes sense because Hagar is feeling cast out by her slave owner. Yeah, I guess that's what Sarai is her slave owner. Anyways, let's continue on. We've got chapter 17. This is covenant circumcision, which this is where I think this is like the basis of why people did the circumcision and still do circumcisions to this day. This I think is like the general direction of what um why like the foundation for why they do it. Archie Joan, to answer your question, what did the angel of the Lord say to Hagar? It said that the angel of the Lord said to her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her authority." It said, "I will greatly multiply your offspring, and they will be too many to count." So that is what the angel of the Lord said to Hagar. Um, it also said that you have conceived and will have a son, and then said that Ishmael will be like a wild donkey. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him, and he will settle near all his relatives. So that is what the angel of the Lord said to Hagar. So yeah. All right. Covenant circumcision, chapter 17. So when Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him, saying, "I am God Almighty. Live in my presence and be blameless. I will set up my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you greatly." Then Abraham fell face down, and God spoke with him. "As for me, here is my covenant with you. You will become the father of many nations. Your name will be no longer Abram. Your name will be Abraham. For I will make you the father of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful and will make nations and kings come from you. I will confirm my covenant that is between me and you and your future offspring throughout their generations. It is a permanent covenant to be your God and the God of your offspring after you. And to you and your future offspring, I will give the land where you are residing, all the land of Canaan, as a permanent possession, and I will be their God." God also said to Abraham, "As for you, you and your offspring after you throughout their generations are to keep my covenant. This is my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you, which you are to keep. Every one of your males must be circumcised. You must circumcise the flesh of your foreskin to serve as a sign of the covenant between me and you. Throughout your generations, every male among you is to be circumcised at 8 days old. Every male born in your household or purchased from any foreigner and not your offspring. Whether born in your household or purchased, he must be circumcised. My covenant will be marked in your flesh as a permanent covenant. If any male is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that man will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God said to Abraham, as for your wife Sarai, do not call her Sarai, for Sarah will be her name. I will bless her indeed. I will give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she will produce nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down. Then he laughed and said to himself, can a child be born of 100-year-old man? Can Sarah, a 90-year-old woman, give birth? So Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael were acceptable to you. But God said, no, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will confirm my covenant with him as a permanent covenant for his future offspring. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will certainly bless him. I will make him fruitful and will multiply him greatly. He will father 12 tribal leaders, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will confirm my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you at this time next year. When he finished talking with him, God withdrew from Abraham. So Abraham took his son Ishmael and those born to his household or purchased, every male among the members of Abraham's household, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin on that very day, just as God had said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when the flesh of his foreskin was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13 years old when the flesh of his foreskin was circumcised. On that very day, Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised. And all the men of his household, whether born in his household or purchased from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. So yeah, that sorry men, I will say. But their prompt obedience sealed their faith and, confirmed that covenant that God made with them. And let's go back for a second. We talked about Hagar getting visited by the angel, and then the angel calling her by her name. That's a big deal. She's a slave woman, and usually they don't go by their names. Like they're just a slave. So for the angel to call her by her name is huge. Then we see God changing Abraham's name and Sarah's name. It set them apart, just like Rebecca said. It sets them apart, and it shows them that there's a destiny shift for them. The course that they were on is no longer available for them, so they are changing course and they're going down the path that God wants them on. So there's that. So, and that the other thing, the whole circumcision thing is a sign. It's an outer sign for an inner reality. Luckily for us, we don't have to really do that anymore because the sacrifice of Jesus basically took away all of our sins and all of these rules, and we are, because of his sacrifice, we are clean. So that, I'm glad for the men that we don't have to do that anymore, but I know that it's still a big practice in Western culture. So hopefully with more advocating, they eventually do away with it, because it's very traumatic from what I understand. So God changes their names, and then Abraham falls down, he's like laughs at God, and he's like, no way, like you're not gonna do this. I'm 100 years old. My wife is 90 years old. No way. Like, why can't you just accept Ishmael? Like, it's okay. Like, we're fine. And God's like, no, I'm giving you a son. You're gonna name him Isaac. And Isaac means that he laughs. He laughs. So that's just another I like all of the names are really intentional. So yeah, Isaac means he laughs. And it's funny because Abraham laughed at God. And then from there, we know that they do their prompt obedience. They all get circumcised, and basically that seals their faith. That seals that they're obedient and God's going to bless them. So you really can't go wrong with that. Prompt and like I said before, um prompt obedience gets you far. And that's like the overall overarching theme in Genesis, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not a biblical scholar in any sense of the word. I'm just giving you my 2 cents of what I'm seeing. Hydrate, guys. Hydrate. All right. We are on to chapter 18. And before we get into chapter 18, because we still have a few more chapters to get into, I am going to read another ad and tell you about Tamarac's new products. So here we go with that. This week's episode is also brought to you by Tamarac Garden, one of my absolute favorite small herbal remedy shops. They handcraft teas, tinctures, salves, and skincare from wild harvested herbs and weeds in the Pacific Northwest. The stuff God literally grows under our feet. Every product is non-toxic, family safe, and made with real edible ingredients that support your body inside and out. Visit tamaracgarden.com and use the code JackieEspada to get $10 off your order. Because nature already gave us everything we need to heal, and Tamarac Garden just bottles it beautifully. Thank you, Tamarac Garden. And speaking of Tamarac Garden, they have some really exciting new tinctures coming out um tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, you can start purchasing some fantastic new supplements, and I showed them on here last week. But I don't know if I oh wait, it says 5 a.m. Pacific, so 8 a.m. 8 a.m. tomorrow Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. They are going live with all of their new tinctures, and I should have their emails probably the best place that has all of them. I highly encourage you to get some. I'm going to be purchasing some myself of the bubble gut and the reflux the reflux something re yeah, I don't know. Something like that. I'm here it is. We've got new tinctures. Friday. Where are they? Let's go to Tamarac. I should have pulled this up before, but alas, I did not. Coming soon. Let's share this. Okay, so here we go with the new tinctures, y'all. We've got ache in the head, reflux rescue. That's what it was. Pain me not, peace and calm. One of my favorites. I did take that today. So feverish supports fever process while helping the body release heat and cool naturally. Super C, that's one that I've been taking. Absolutely love. It is very sweet. Um, I believe, I believe, the reflux pregnant women can take. It's safe for infants, so my guess is yes that the reflux one people can take. I would reach out to Michelle and ask her Art Mama 82. And in fact, what I'll do is I will write down a note, um, and I'll text her if you don't get an answer first. So where's my pen? So ask Michelle about was that reflux? Yeah. But I think most of her tinctures are pregnant safe or like pregnancy safe. Um, so my guess is yes. I think there's only one. So I think there's only one that or one or two, but most of these should be safe. So I think she's making don't quote me on this. There's a supplement, and I think there's also going to be a tea of the reflux rescue. Again, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, you can grab all of these great, wonderful new herbal supplements that Michelle has been working super hard on. And if you spend $50 or more, you can use my code Jackie Espada, all one word together, for $10 off. So thank you for that. And of course, shop in his word if you need some more apparel or home goods too, because they also have like pillows and stuff like that. And great stuff to keep in your home. And of course, you're by shopping with my discount codes, I do get a little bit of the money as well. So appreciate you guys and thank you. And without further ado, let's get back into the word. Why not? Let's see. We were on chapter 18. So Abraham's three visitors. The Lord appeared to Abraham at the oaks of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance of his tent during the heat of the day. He looked up and saw three men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to meet them, bowed to the ground, and said, "My Lord, if I have found favor with you, please do not go on past your servant. Let a little water be brought, that you may wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. I will bring a bit of bread so that you may strengthen yourselves. This is why you have passed your servant's way. Later, you can continue on." "Yes," they replied. Do as you have said." So Abraham hurried into the tent and said to Sarah, "Quick, knead 3 measures of fine flour and make bread." Abraham ran to the herd and got a tender, choice calf. He gave it to a young man who hurried to prepare it. Then Abraham took curds and milk, as well as the calf that he had prepared, and set them before the men. He served them as they ate under the tree. Sarah laughs. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There, in the tent," he answered. The Lord said, "I will certainly come back to you in about a year's time, and your wife Sarah will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent behind him. Abraham and Sarah were old and getting on in years. Sarah had passed the age of childbearing, so she laughed to herself. "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I have delight?" But the Lord asked Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Can I really have a baby when I'm old? Is anything impossible for the Lord?' At the appointed time, I will come back to you, and in about a year she will have a son." Sarah denied it. "I did not laugh," she said, because she was afraid. But he replied, "No, you did laugh." Abraham's plea for Sodom. The men got up from there and looked out over Sodom, and Abraham was walking with them to see them off. Then the Lord said, "Should I hide of what I am about to do from Abraham? Abraham is to become a great and powerful nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will command his children and his house after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. This is how the Lord will fulfill to Abraham what he promised him." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is immense, and their sin is extremely serious. I will go down to see if what they have done justifies the cry that has come up to me. If not, I will find out." The men turned from there and went toward Sodom while Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Abraham stepped forward and said, "Will you really sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away instead of sparing the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people who are in it? You could not possibly do such a thing to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. You could not possibly do that. Won't the judge of the whole earth do what is just?" He's appealing to God's justice there. The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham answered, "Since I have ventured to speak to my Lord, even though I am dust and ashes, suppose the 50 righteous lack 5. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? He replied, "I will not destroy it if I find 45 there." Then he spoke to him again. Suppose 40 are found there." He answered, "I will not do it on account of 40. Then he said, "Let my Lord not be angry, and I will speak further. Suppose 30 are found there." He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Then he said, Since I have ventured to speak to my lord, suppose 20 are found there. He replied, I will not destroy it on account of 20. Then he said, Let my lord not be angry, and I will speak one more time. Suppose 10 are found there. He answered, I will not destroy it on account of 10. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he departed, and Abraham returned to his place. So, Abraham's trying. He's trying. And he was met with 3 visitors, which we can assume are angels in a sense. And I'm gonna look back at my notes. But he's honoring again, Abraham's obedience is on level 10. He is, whenever there's someone that he needs to be there for, he's there. He is attentive. He is on top of things. This is 18. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. So 18 calls himself your servant. Okay, so one speaks. So I wrote this down that one of the 3 visitors, one speaks as the Lord, and the other 2 are angels. Yes, I think that's what I've kind of. I did some research on this and I wrote it down in my notes. So yeah, one speaks as the Lord, and the other 2 are angels, and he offers water, rest, bread, and a feast. Sarah quickly gets everything. And basically, they're just being really good Middle Eastern hospitality, humility, like down to earth people. So that. And then, Sarah, she's not quite sure. So she, again, is anything impossible for the Lord? No. So let's trust him. Let's see. Reveals his plan, I think. Yeah, okay. So Abraham intercedes for Sodom. That's a huge thing. That's faith in God's mercy. He's like, look, God, I know you can do this. I'm begging you and I'm asking you that if I find 10 people that believe in you and trust in you, that you will not destroy the entire city. And God's like, fine, 10 people. Like, he was able to bring him down from 50. He's like, I don't think I can do this. But, he shows compassion. He shows courage by actually standing up to God, because I'm sure not many people would do it. And, he appeals to God's justice in the whole thing. So here we go with the actual destruction. There's, God decided that he was just going to destroy the city because he doesn't find those 10 people. So here we go with chapter 19. And like I said, yeah, Rebecca, you're probably right. He was probably interceding for his nephew Lot. 100%. I could see that for sure. All right. We still got a little ways to go. We're going all the way up to chapter 25. So we are on 19. So we've got a little ways to go. Here we go. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. The 2 angels entered Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting in Sodom's gateway. When Lot saw them, he got up to meet them. He bowed his face to the ground and said, My lords, turn aside to your servant's house, wash your feet, and spend the night. Then you can get up early and go on your way. No, they said. We would rather spend the night in the square. But he urged them so strongly that they followed him and went into his house. He prepared a feast and baked unleavened bread for them, and they ate. Before they went to bed, the men of the city of Sodom, both young and old, the whole population, surrounded the house. They called out to Lot and said, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Send them out to us so we can have sex with them. Lot went out to them at the entrance and shut the door behind him. He said, Don't do this evil, my brothers. Look, I've got 2 daughters who haven't been intimate with a man. I'll bring them out to you and you can do whatever you want to them. However, don't do anything to these men because they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of the way, they said, adding, This one came here as an alien, but he's acting like a judge. Now we'll do much more harm to you than to them. They put pressure on Lot and came up to break down the door. But the angels reached out, brought Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. They struck the men who were at the entrance of the house, both young and old, with blindness, so that they were unable to find the entrance. Then the angel said to Lot, Do you have anyone else here, a son in law, your sons and daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of this place, for we are about to destroy this place because the outcry against its people is so great before the Lord, that the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons in law who were going to marry his daughters. Get up, he said. Get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the cities. But his sons in law thought he was joking. At daybreak, the angels urged Lot on. Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, and you will be swept away in the punishment of the city. Or you will be swept away in the punishment in the city. But he hesitated. Because of the Lord's compassion for him, the man grabbed his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, and his hands of his 2 daughters. They brought him out and left him outside the city. As soon as the angels got them outside, one of them said, Run for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere on the plain. Run to the mountains or you will be swept away. But Lot said to them, No, my lords, please. Your servant has indeed found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness by saving my life. But I can't run to the mountains. The disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, this town is close enough for me to flee to. It is a small place. Please let me run to it. It's only a small place, isn't it? So that I can survive. And he said to him, All right, I'll grant your request about this matter too, and will not demolish the town you mentioned. Hurry up, run to it, for I cannot do anything until you get there. Therefore, the name of the city is Zoar, which means its previous name was Bela, by the way. That's what the footnote says for that. The sun had risen over the land when Lot reached Zoar. Then out of the sky, the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, burning sulfur from the Lord. He demolished these cities, the entire plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and whatever grew on the ground. But Lot's wife looked back and became a pillar of salt. Early in the morning, Abraham went to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and all the land of the plain, and he saw that smoke was going up from the land like the smoke of a furnace. So it was, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham and brought Lot out of the middle of the upheaval when he demolished the cities where Lot had lived. So whenever we see something that says God remembers, that means that God acts right away. God remembers you, he acts. And we'll talk about, we'll do a little recap after we're over. We're not done quite yet with chapter 19. So the origin of Moab and Ammon. Lot departed from Zoar and lived in the mountains along with his 2 daughters because he was afraid to live in Zoar. Instead, he and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. Then the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old and there is no man in the land to sleep with us, as is the custom of the land. Come, let's get our father to drink wine so that we can sleep with him and preserve our father's line. So they got their father to drink wine that night, and the firstborn came and slept with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the firstborn said to the younger, Look, I slept with my father last night. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight so you can go sleep with him and we can preserve our father's line. That night, they again got their father to drink wine, and the younger went and slept with him. He did not know when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The firstborn gave birth to a son and named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger also gave birth to a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. This is the father of the Ammonites of today. So, sin repeated under fear. They were afraid that they were not going to have a man to sleep with and that they were not going to be able to continue the line. So what did they do? They deceived their father to sleep with him. Gross. That's all I got to say about that. Fine disgustingness. All right. So we see that Lot, when he, going back to the beginning of 19, we see when Lot sees the men, the two angels that come to him in Sodom and try to get him out. We see that he, the city all around him is corrupt, but he is being very hospitable to them. And he lets them into their house and everything. And yeah. Then we see that, Lot asks, or he has these people that are coming to the house. That the two angels come in, and then the people of the city come to Lot's door, and they're like, "Look, give us those guys so that we can do what we need to do with them." And instead of correcting them and telling them no, what Lot does is he offers his daughters. So it just continues that kind of same cycle that it is to live in Sodom and Gomorrah. So yeah. So God destroys the city, tells them, get out of here. Some of them leave, not all of them. And God remembers, he acts on them. And obviously, Lot's wife, she looks back, she gets turned into salt, and the rest of the family is they're brought back, and everything should be good from there. At least that's what we think. Then we hear about Moab and Ammon and the deception that happens there. It's kind of gross, but again, I guess that was the times. I wouldn't know. I wasn't there. Anyways, let's continue. We still got 5 more chapters to get to. We're gonna get into chapter 20. And this is the same thing that we talked about earlier, where Abram calls his wife Sarai at the time, because now they're Abraham and Sarah. That, and seeing that they're about to do that same deception again, where Abraham's going to call Sarah his sister instead of his wife. And we'll see what happens when that happens. So Rebecca said, it is interesting that Ruth was a Moabite and in the line of Jesus. It is interesting, for sure. And we'll get into that probably later as we continue down the line. Anyways, let's get into chapter 20. Sarah rescued from Abimelech. From there, Abraham traveled to the region of the Negev and settled between Kadesh and Shur. While he was staying in Gerar, Abraham said about his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." So King Abimelech of Gerar had Sarah brought to him. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "You are about to die because of the woman you have taken, for she is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not approached her. So he said, "Lord, would you destroy a nation even though it is innocent? Didn't he himself say to me, 'She is my sister,' and she herself said, 'He is my brother'? I did this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know that you did this with a clear conscience. I have also kept you from sinning against me. Therefore, I have not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet. For he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, know that you will certainly die, and you and all who are yours." Early in the morning, Abimelech got up, called all his servants together, and personally told them all these things. And the men were terrified. Then Abimelech called Abraham in and said to him, "What have you done to us? How did I sin against you that you have brought us such enormous guilt on me and on my kingdom? You have done things to me that I should have never been done." Abimelech also asked Abraham, What made you do this?" Abraham replied, "I thought, there is absolutely no fear of God in this place. They will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So when God had me wander from my father's house, I said to her, 'Show your loyalty to me wherever we go and say about me, he's my brother.' Then Abimelech told flocks and herds and males and female slaves, gave them to Abraham, and returned his wife Sarah to him. Abimelech said, "Look, my land is before you. Settle wherever you want." And he said to Sarah, "Look, I am giving your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. It is a verification of your honor to all who are with you, who are fully vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves so that they could bear children. For the Lord had completely closed all the wombs in Abimelech's household on account of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So, why are we lying, guys? Why can't we just tell the truth? Even when like they're confronted, they still only tell half truths. Why are we lying? Stop. Just tell the truth, guys. And it's true. Rebecca, great question. She says, "How often do we all think we know best and can fix things instead of just trusting God?" Probably 20 times a day, if that. Probably more, for being completely honest. Probably more than that. But prayer is healing power. And that's the big thing to keep in mind, too, is that prayer is healing power. And you can absolutely get back in the good graces of God just by simply praying. It really is. Just a simple prayer. He just wants you to acknowledge him. That's all. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done. Not really, but it's nice to think that we are. We're on chapter 21 now. 21, the birth of Isaac. The birth of Isaac. Let me get a drink of water before we keep going. All right. Chapter 21, the birth of Isaac. The Lord came to Sarah as he had said. Double emphasis. He said that he was going to do it, and so he did it. And the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. He said he was going to do it, so he did it. Oh, I was reading what Cam said in the chat. I think he said, "Give us more, please." I'm going to. Thanks. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age. At the appointed time God had told him. Abraham named his son, who was born to him, the one Sarah bore to him, Isaac. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, "God has made me laugh, and everyone who hears will laugh with me." She also said, "Who would have told Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne a son for him in his old age." So again, promises kept, promises made, promises kept. He fulfilled his promise, and God's going to do it every single time in his perfect timing, whether we like it or not. So that's a great wrap up, little bow on that story. Now let's get into the rest of the story. Hagar and Ishmael sent away. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham held a great feast on the day Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son mocking, the one Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham. So she said to Abraham, "Drive out this slave with her son, for the son of this slave will not be a co-heir with my son Isaac." This has been very distressing to Abraham because of his son. But God said to Abraham, "Do not be distressed about the boy and about your slave. Whatever Sarah says to you, listen to her, because your offspring will be traced through Isaac, and I will also make a nation of the slave's son, because he is your offspring." Again, promise is chosen and mercy extended. So we love it. We love to see it. I actually need some extra light down here, I realize. There we go. That's nice. Okay, so let's continue. We are on. Okay, early in the morning, Abraham got up, took bread and a water skin, put them on Hagar's shoulders, and sent her and the boy away. She left and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she left the boy under one of the bushes and went and sat at a distance about a bow shot away, for she said, "I can't bear to watch the boy die. While she sat at a distance, she wept loudly. So again, abandoned, yet, God hears. Ishmael, that's his name. God hears. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God came to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What's wrong, Hagar? Don't be afraid, for God has heard the boy crying from the places where he is. Get up, help the boy up, and grasp his hand, for I will make him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well. So she went and filled the water skin and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He settled in the wilderness and became an archer. He settled in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Just like she is. Just like so that's a great another wrap bow on that story, I think. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think they Ishmael does come back at some point, but as of right now, he's alive, he's well, he's doing what he needs to do. All right, next up, Abraham's covenant with Abimelech. At that time, Abimelech, accompanied by Phicol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything you do. Swear to me by God here and now that you will not break an agreement with me or with my children and descendants. As I have been loyal to you, so you will be loyal to me and to the country where you are a resident alien." And Abraham said, "I swear it." But Abraham complained to Abimelech because of the well that Abimelech's servants had seized. Abimelech replied, "I do not know who did this thing. You didn't report anything to me, so I hadn't heard about it until today." Abraham took flocks and herds and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Abraham separated 7 ewe lambs from the flock. And Abimelech said to Abraham, "Why have you separated these 7 ewe lambs?" He replied, "You are to accept the 7 ewe lambs from me, so that this act will serve as my witness that I dug this well." Therefore, the place was called Beersheba, because it was there that the two of them swore an oath after they had made a covenant at Beersheba. Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, left and returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham lived as an alien in the land of the Philistines for many days. So I want to know what a tamarisk tree is. We need to look this up. So tamarisk tree. Oh, this is a pretty tree. Let's look. Let's look. Class. Let's see. This is a nice looking tree. Let me get to images here. Let's add this to the stage. Nice tree in the middle of the wilderness. So let's see. Maybe I can go to this. Oh yeah, this is a nice one. Let's share this tab instead. So this is a tamarisk tree. Nice. Beautiful. And what does it say? The forest. What is a tamarisk tree? Is known as the salt cedar. It is a small to medium-sized tree that can grow up to 30 feet tall. It's an evergreen tree native to dry areas of southern Europe, northern Africa, and western Asia. So it is a very graceful tree with long feathery branches and tufts, closely clad with the minutest of leaves and surmounted in springs with spikes of beautiful pink blossom, which seem to envelop the whole tree in one gauzy sheet of color. It's a beautiful tree. Ah, the shade of the tamarisk is much cooler than that of other trees. Why? Why is that? So it can withstand heat and long dry spells by sending roots deep down to find water underground. If water is available during the first growing season, the tamarisk's roots continue to seek out the damp soil and continue to flourish without additional irrigation. So it's a slow growing tree, and they can live to over 100 years. Huh. So it makes sense. Symbol of life, hope, strength, resilience, because it makes sense because they're older trees, and they're going to live forever. So faithfulness, yeah. See, I love this. Sacred trees. Who knew? I love it. Tamarisk trees, that's where he makes the covenant, or by, planting that tree. Abraham fills and, has a sign, a symbol of God's covenant. So that's a great thing for us. All right, let's continue on. We still got 4 chapters left. We're on the sacrifice of Isaac now. And it says, after these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, here I am. He answered, take your son, he said, your only son, whom you love, go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about. So here we go. Are you obedient? Will you be obedient, Abraham? So Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took with him 2 of his young men and his son Isaac. He split wood for a burnt offering and set out to go to the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Then Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there to worship. Then we'll come back to you. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac. In his hand, he took the fire and the knife, and the 2 of them walked on together. Then Isaac spoke to his father Abraham and said, my father. And he replied, here I am, my son. Isaac said, the fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham answered, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And the 2 of them walked on together. When they arrived at the place that God had told them about, Abraham built the altar there and arranged the wood. He bound his son Isaac and placed him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out and took the knife to slaughter his son. See? Obedience held nothing back. But the angel of the Lord came to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham! He replied, here I am. Then he said, do not lay a hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your only son from me. Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering in place of his son. And Abraham named the place the Lord will provide. Or what is the Yahweh Yireh. I could probably saying that wrong. So today it is said, it will be provided on the Lord's mountain. So the Lord will provide, or Yahweh Yireh. I think that's how you say it. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, this is the Lord's declaration. Because you have done this thing and have not withheld your only son, I will indeed bless you and make your offspring as numerous as the stars of the sky and the sand on the seashore. Your offspring will possess the city gates on their enemies, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed by your offspring because you have obeyed my command. Abraham went back to his young men, and they got up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham settled in Beersheba. And that right there, if that doesn't tell you that Abraham is 100% obedient and trusting God, even though he has lied and continues to say that that's his sister is, or his wife is his sister, he is still continuing to be obedient with God, and that is a huge. I give him a huge round of applause for that. Okay, Rebecca's family. But also, would you do that? Would you be able to? This is hypothetical. If you guys don't want to answer it, it's fine. If God asked you, like, hey, take your son, take your daughter, and go sacrifice it, would you be able to do it? I don't know if I would be able to. 100%. Amen to that. Rebecca W. 6 said, God uses flawed humans. Absolutely, he does. I mean, I'm definitely a flawed human, and did I ever think that I'd be here on a Thursday evening with you guys? Talking about the Bible? Reading the Bible? Giving you insights and stuff? No. Definitely not. But God is using a flawed human here to lead you down this Bible study journey together. So, thank you guys for being here. Let's get into the next part of, or the last part of chapter 22. Rebekah's family. Now, after these things, Abraham was told, Milcah also has borne sons to your brother Nahor. Uz, his firstborn, his brother Buz, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel fathered Rebekah. Milcah bore these 8 to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Teba, Gahem, and Tahash, and Maacah. So, the next generation is being prepared for us, and I'm so here for it. Ah, yes, Rebecca. I actually have that written down. I actually have it like question it in my Bible. It says, "Does Abraham think Isaac can be raised from the dead?" I don't know. Rebecca says that the Hebrews say that Abraham trusted God would raise him from the dead. Who knows? We don't know for sure. Unless once we get to heaven, we'll be able to ask him. So Rebecca, save that question. Save that for when we get to heaven, please. I had a stillbirth at almost 9 months. Sometimes you don't get a choice; he just takes them. Yeah, it's true. I'm also really sorry to hear that, Art Mama. I know that probably wasn't super easy for you. Okay, read Hebrews 11. We will read Hebrews 11. Is that where the context is for that? Well, let's see. We have some time. I'm not going to sleep anytime soon. We also only have 3 more chapters left, and 23 is pretty short. It looks like 24 is pretty mid-sized and 24 is all right. So let's read Hebrews 11. Why not? So here we go with Hebrews 11. I hope you guys don't mind my singing voice. Hebrews 11. Also, my face looks crazy because of this light. Sorry. Hebrews 11. Living by faith. Yes. Okay. So, first off, right off from what I see, by faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac. He received the promises and yet was offering his one and only son, the one to whom it had been said, your offspring will be traced through Isaac. He considered God to be able to even to raise someone from the dead. Therefore, he received him back, figuratively speaking. So, that was Hebrews 11:17 through 19. So I think that's what Rebecca was referring to. And it's funny that I was able to get that right away. 11:19. So I was able to get that just from, and that could have only been a God thing for sure. Because I don't think I would have been able to pick that up right away. But no, God works in mysterious ways, you know? I feel like I am doom and gloom. I promise I am not. You are definitely not, Art Mama. Sometimes the truth isn't pretty, but we don't run from it. We have God on our side, like Cam says, 100%. You are not doom and gloom. That's why we have this time together, because this is the time for us to not doom and gloom. We are here to actually listen to God's word and listen to what he has to say, because it's not going to be doom and gloom. He got rid of Sodom and Gomorrah, yes, 100%. But he kept his promise with Sarah. He gave her a son at 90 years old. And we'll continue to see him continue to fulfill his promises. So if nothing else, it may feel like the world is falling apart, but imagine back then where you're hearing about the next town over being just burnt up and it's gone. Because God was just like, no, this town can't, it cannot continue this way. So just think about it. Like, if we right now, like with all of the stuff going on in Minnesota, if we hear in all of our different places around the country, we hear that God takes out Minnesota. What? That's crazy. But I'm sure he's able to, make it for, it says it in the Bible. He turns all things in favor for good. So I think that's Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So yeah. Yeah, it may seem like everything is falling apart, but it's not. It needs to fall apart and so that it can be brought back up. And Art Mama, yeah, he gave me 4 girls after. God is so good. 100%. He is so so good. And the best thing is that you will be reunited with that baby once you get into heaven. What a wonderful day that will be. She or he, I don't know if you knew, will be waiting for you right at the gates of heaven with open arms. So, if nothing else, that should be such a great thing to look forward to. So no need to doom and gloom. None of that. All right, let's continue. Let's continue on before I start getting sad and start crying like full on all the way. Cuz we're not going to be dooming and glooming around here. Yes, it may seem like Friday night, but Sunday is on the way. Oh my god, that is so true. Yes, 100%. Key and exactly. Exactly. See, our mama? And we're here to be with you. And Art Mama, Artsy Jones said my sister was firstborn, died at almost 2 years of age from SIDS pneumonia. Then my mom had my twin and I. God is good. See? He always provides. He always does. But again, you don't no need to doom and gloom. All right. Speaking of dooming and glooming, I guess we're going to be reading about Sarah's burial. All right. So, verse 20 or chapter 23. Now, Sarah lived 127 years. These were all the years of her life. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba. This is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham went to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. When Abraham got up from beside his dead wife, he spoke to the Hittites. I am an alien residing among you. Give me burial property among you so that I can bury my dead. Then the Hittites replied to Abraham, listen to us, my lord. You are a prince of God among us. Bury your dead in our finest burial place. None of us will withhold from you its burial place for burying your dead. Then Abraham rose and bowed down to the Hittites, the people of the land. He said to them, if you are willing for me to bury my dead, listen to me and ask Ephron, son of Zohar, on my behalf to give me the cave of Machpelah, which belongs to him. It is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me in your presence for the full price as burial property. Ephron was sitting among the Hittites. So, in the hearing of all the Hittites who came to the gate of his city, Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham, no, my lord, listen to me. I give you the field, and I give you that cave that is in it. I give it to you in the sight of my people. Bury your dead. Abraham bowed down to the people of the land and said to Ephron, in the hearing of the people of the land, listen to me, if you please. Let me pay the price of the field. Accept it from me, and let me bury my dead there. Ephron answered Abraham and said to him, my lord, listen to me. Land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham agreed with Ephron, and Abraham weighed out to Ephron the silver that he had agreed to in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 standard shekels of silver. So Ephron's field at Machpelah near Mamre, the field with its cave and all the trees anywhere within the boundaries of the field, became Abraham's possession in the sight of all the Hittites who came to the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave at the field at Machpelah and Machpelah near Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field with its cave passed from the Hittites to Abraham as burial property. So again, a lot of legalese there, but the faith, Abraham's faith bought him essentially the land that was promised and not yet seen. So great stuff there. And Macpela, for those that don't know, is a faith anchor for generations. So I looked that up, and that's what Macpela means. It's faith anchor for generations. That's like the symbolism of it. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. We're on chapter 24, and then we're going to do chapter 25, and then we'll get out of here. So let's get right into it. We're reading a wife for Isaac now. Isaac needs a wife. So Abraham was now old, getting on in his years, and the Lord had blessed him in everything. Abraham said to his servant, the elder of his household who managed all he owned, place your hand under my thigh, and I will give you. And that's a big thing. We'll talk about this more, I'm sure. Thighs. Thigh is like a big thing in the Bible. And actually, I'll pull it up now. So thigh meaning in the Bible. So in the Bible, the thigh symbolizes strength, authority, lineage, and procreative power, often appearing in solemn oaths. So again, like in this one, hand under the thigh in Genesis 24, priestly portions, right thigh in Leviticus, and then profound scriptural encounters that we see later in Genesis with Jacob's hip. Or was it earlier? It was earlier. Yeah, it was earlier with Jacob's hip. So it also signifies submission, covenant, and even a euphemism for, genitals and nakedness in certain contexts. But in this context, it really is about strength and support, and it really is about, the whole oath aspect of it. So just to give you some context on, yes. So Huma Warrior 76 said under the thigh is important for the covenants between tribes and families. So yes, that is a covenant thing that is really important for that time period. So Abraham said to his servant, the elder of his household, who managed all he owned, place your hand under my thigh, and I will have you swear by the Lord, God of heaven and God of earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live, but will go to my land and my family to take a wife for my son Isaac. The servant said to him, suppose the woman is unwilling to follow me to this land. Should I have your son go back to the land you came from? Abraham answered him, make sure that you don't take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from my native land, who spoke to me and swore to me, I will give this land to your offspring. He will send his angel before you, and you can take a wife for my son from there. If the woman is unwilling to follow you, then you are free from this oath to me. But don't let my son go back there. So the servant placed his hand under his master Abraham's thigh and swore an oath to him concerning this matter. The servant took 10 of his master's camels, and with all kinds of master's goods in hand, he went to Aram Naharaim. So Aram Naharaim to Nahor's town. At evening, the time when women went out to draw water, he made the camels kneel before or beside a well before outside the town. Lord, God of my master Abraham, he prayed, make this happen for me today and show kindness to my master Abraham. I am standing here at the spring where the daughters of the men of the town are coming out to draw water. Let the girl to whom I say, please lower your water jug so that I may drink, and who responds, drink, and I'll water your camels also. Let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. Before he had finished speaking, there was Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor, coming with a jug on her shoulder. Now the girl was very beautiful, a virgin. No man had been intimate with her. She went down to the spring, filled her jug, and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me have a little water from your jug. She replied, drink, my lord. She quickly lowered her jug to her hand and gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I'll also draw water for your camels until they have had enough to drink. She quickly emptied her jug into the trough and hurried to the well again to draw water. She drew water for all his camels, while the man silently watched her to see whether or not the Lord had made his journey a success. As the camels finished drinking, the man took a gold ring weighing half a shekel, and for her wrists 2 bracelets weighing 10 shekels of gold. Whose daughter are you? He asked. Please tell me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? She answered him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. She also said to him, we have plenty of straw and feed and a place to spend the night. Then the man knelt low, whispered the Lord, worshipped the Lord, and said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not withheld his kindness and faithfulness from my master. As for me, the Lord has led me on the journey to the house of my master's relatives. The girl ran and told her mother's household about these things. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban, and Laban ran out to the man at the spring. As soon as she had seen the fire and or why did I say fire? As soon as she had seen the ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he had heard his sister Rebekah's words, the man said this to me. He went to the man. He was standing there by the camels at the spring. Laban said, Come, you who are blessed by the Lord. Why are you standing out here? I have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came to the house, and the camels were unloaded. Straw and feed were given to the camels, and water was brought to wash his feet and the feet of the men with him. A meal was set before him, but he said, I will not eat until I have said what I have to say. So Laban said, Please speak. I am Abraham's servant, he said. The Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become rich. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female slaves, and camels and donkeys. Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master in her old age, and he was given him everything he owns. My master put me under this oath. You will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I live, but will go to my father's family and to my clan to take a wife for my son. But I said to my master, Suppose the woman will not come back with me. He said to me, The Lord before whom I have walked will send his angel with you and make your journey a success. And you will take a wife for my son from my clan, from my father's family. Then you will be free from my oath, and if you go to my family, they do not give her to you, and you will be free from my oath. Today, when I came to the spring, I prayed, Lord, God of my master Abraham, if only you will make my journey successful. I am standing here at a spring. Let the young woman who comes out to draw water, and I say to her, Please, let me drink a little water from your jug. And who responds to me, Drink, and I will draw water from your camels also. Let her be the woman the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Before I have finished praying silently, there was Rebekah coming with a jug on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. So I said to her, Please, let me have a drink. She quickly lowered her jug from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I'll water your camels also. So I drank, and she also watered the camels. Then I asked her, Whose daughter are you? She responded, The daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, whom Milcah bore to him. So I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. Then I knelt low, worshipped the Lord, and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who guided me on the right way to take the granddaughter of my master's brother for his son. Now, if you are going to show kindness and faithfulness to my master, tell me. If not, tell me, and I will go elsewhere. Laban and Bethuel answered, This is from the Lord. We have no choice in the matter. Rebekah is here in front of you. Take her and go, and let her be a wife for your master's son, just as the Lord has spoken. When Abraham's servant heard their words, he bowed to the ground before the Lord. Then he brought out objects of silver and gold and garments and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave precious gifts to her brother and her mother. Then he and the men with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they got up in the morning, he said, Send me to my master. But her brother and mother said, Let the girl stay with us for about 10 days. Then she can go. Which again, 10, that number, we saw 10 earlier in this chapter and earlier in this, and I'll go back and find that where that 10 was. And now we're seeing 10 again. But he responded to them, Do not delay me, since my Lord has made my journey a success. Send me away so that I may go to my master. So they said, let's call the girl and ask her opinions. They called Rebecca and said to her, will you go with this man? She replied, I will go. So they sent him away, so they sent away their sister Rebecca with the one who had nursed and raised her, and Abraham's servant and his men. They blessed Rebekah, saying to her, our sister may have become thousands upon 10,000s. May your offspring possess the city gates of their enemies. Then Rebekah and her female servants got up, mounted the camels, and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and left. Now Isaac was returning from Beer Lahai, for he was living in the Negev region. In the early evening, Isaac went out to walk in the field, and looking up, he saw camels coming. Rebecca looked up, and when she saw Isaac, she got down from her camel and asked the servant, who is that man in the field coming to meet us? The servant answered, it is my master. So she took her veil and covered herself. Then the servant told Isaac everything he had done. And Isaac brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah and took Rebekah to be his wife. Isaac loved her, and he was comforted after his mother's death. So that is the story of Rebekah getting with Isaac and how they got to meet each other. And we talked about this last time too, is the story, the way that the Genesis seems to kind of keep playing out is they give you like a brief overview of this story. And then as you keep going, you get further and further into the story. Like, we repeated a lot of chapter 24 was a lot of just repeating what was happening. So, it started off with just telling us what was happening, and then it's, the servant goes to Laban and recounts everything that just happened. So it really is just like a digging deeper every step and every level. All right. So the one thing I said that we had 10. Where's the 10 again? I circled it. Okay. So 10 was in chapter 16. So what is, I'm going to ask seconds of 10. Okay. So in the Bible, the number 10 signifies divine order, completeness, perfection, law, and human responsibility. So it often marks the conclusion of a period or a complete set. So that makes sense. So Abram was living in the land for 10 years, which marked his ending in Canaan. Now Abram does not want to have, he doesn't want Isaac to have a Canaanite wife. But this is the same thing. They find Rebecca, who is not a Canaanite, and the family is like, well, maybe she can leave in 10 days. Which again is because of, completeness on all of that. But the family's like, or they asked Rebecca, and Rebecca's like, no, I'll go because God said I needed to go. So she's going to go. So that it's just interesting that that's what the 10 means. And I knew that there was something significant behind it, but I wasn't sure. Now we know. All right. I think we're on the last chapter. I think. I'm just looking through my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything from 24. Yeah. Okay. So it's funny because people often mistake this. The servant was very obedient. He went look for his thing, but the big thing was that he specifically asked God. He's like, God, this is my specific, like if you check off these specific things, I know this is you. And it's okay to ask God that because he wants you to know that he wants you to believe in him wholeheartedly. And if he has to be completely just like transparent and be like, this is me, hello, then he will do that. So pray with precision, pray for exactly what you're looking for. And God may not always do it exactly that way, but when you need a sign, he will send it. And it could be the exact sign that you're looking for. So there you go. All right, let's see what's going on here. We are almost done. This is our last chapter of the evening, and then we'll pray and get out of here. And I have rants to read and all of that. So thank you guys for being here, And let's read the last chapter of today's Bible study. Abraham's other wife and sons. This is chapter 25. Abraham had taken another wife, whose name was Keturah. What does Keturah mean? Keturah, I think, means incense. It's fine. And she bore him Zimrah, Jokshan, Medah, Median, Ishbak, and Shua. Joksan fathered Sheba and Dedan. Dedan's son were the Ashurim, Letushim, and Mim. That's interesting. And Midian's son were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. All these were sons of Keturah. Abraham gave everything he owned to Isaac, but Abraham gave gifts to the son of his concubines. While he was still alive, he sent them eastward, away from his son Isaac to the land of the east. So the promise is being preserved through Isaac's line. Abraham's death. This is the length of Abraham's life, 175 years. And I hope you guys realize this. As we, Genesis, they started off almost living 1,000 years. And as we get closer and closer to the end of Genesis, their lives are shorter and shorter. Now we're at 175 years for Abraham. He took his last breath and died at a good old age, old and contented, and he was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hethite. This was the field that Abraham bought from the Hethites. Abraham was buried there with his wife Sarah. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, who lived near Beer Lahai Roi. And this, I forgot who mentioned this earlier, but yes, this is where we see Ishmael's return. So Ishmael's family records. These are the family records of Abraham's son Ishmael, whom Hagar, the Egyptian, Sarah's slave, bore to Abraham. These are the names of Ishmael's sons. Their names, according to the family records, are Nebaioth, Ishmael's firstborn, then Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jator, Naphish, Kadima. These are Ishmael's sons, and these are the names by their settlements and encampments, 12 leaders of their clans. This is the length of Ishmael's life, 137 years. He took his last breath and died and was gathered to his people, and they settled from Havilah to Shur, which is opposite Egypt as you go toward Asher. He stayed near all his relatives, which that's exactly what God said or prophesied would happen for Ishmael, that he would reside and stay with all of his relatives. All right, this is where we're going to end off, and this is going to lead into some really good conversation on Sunday, I presume, and I'm really looking forward to it. So here we go with the birth of Jacob and Esau. These are the family records of Isaac, son of Abraham. Abraham fathered Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took as his wife Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel the Aramean from Padan Aram, and sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord was receptive to his prayer, and his wife Rebekah conceived. But the children inside her struggled with each other, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb. Two people will come from you and be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." So again, these are God chooses his purpose before the actual performances. So when her time came to give birth, there were indeed twins in her womb. The first one came out red looking, covered with hair like a fur coat, and they named him Esau. After this, his brother came out grasping Esau's heel with his hand. So he was named Jacob. Jacob was 60 years old when they were born. So this is where the idiom pulling your leg comes from, or is one of the places that it could have come from. And this is the last part for today. Esau sells his birthright. When the boys grew up, Esau became an expert hunter and outdoorsman, but Jacob was a quiet man who stayed at home. Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste for wild game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once, when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau came in from the field exhausted. He said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red stuff because I'm exhausted." This is why he was also named Edom. Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." "Look," said Esau, "I'm about to die. So what good is a birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore to Jacob and sold his birthright to him. Then Jacob gave bread and lentil stew to Esau. He ate, drank, got up, and went away. So Esau despised his birthright. And that is a big deal. That is a big deal. You don't just sell your birthright. That means a lot. So it is a big deal, and that's something that we don't want to do, for sure. But we will pick back up here on Sunday. That is our reading for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. It's pretty lengthy, but I'm enjoying it for sure. We will pick back up Sunday at noon. So noon Eastern on Sunday, 9 a.m. Pacific, I believe is the time. Sunday, noon, we will pick back up. And I do have some rants that I need to get to. And then I will pray before we end today's session. Thank you guys for being here. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that thumbs up. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you're enjoying our time here together, please share it out with a friend. I'm enjoying what we're doing, and you can like both here on Rumble or on YouTube. No, I should have dropped the YouTube link at the beginning of the show, and I didn't. So here, let me grab that for you real quick so that you guys can have it. If you guys don't mind. I do enjoy the nighttime reading. It was nice. It was nice and chill. It's fun. I pretty appreciate you guys. Let's see. I can exit out of this. Make sure there's no coffees. Nope, nothing in there. But we do have a rant. That's what it's called. A rant from Artsy Joan for $10 saying, "Thank you, Jackie. You are incredible. Appreciate this so much, and God bless." Thank you. Appreciate you, and you're always here watching, and just it's an honor. It's an honor to be here doing this with you guys, and it is so much fun. And I will continue to do this with you guys as long as you keep showing up. So without further ado, please hit that thumbs up, share this out with a friend. This Saturday, in 2 days, today, or it's past midnight now here on the East Coast, but the 8th, January 8th, was actually Elvis's birthday. So this Saturday on Hooks and Harmony, we're going to be doing a full Elvis extravaganza show. It's going to be so much fun. Come hang out, 3 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, another episode of Bible study. And then we're also going to be doing later that evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing another installment of the Good Book Sessions. So stay tuned for that. Season 2, episode 7 of The Chosen. Kind of crazy. We're almost done with season 2. But let's get our closing prayer tonight. Let's bow our head, close our eyes. God, thank you. Thank you for meeting us here tonight. Lord, thank you for your word. And, not as something that we have to master, but more as something that meets us right where we are. Lord, thank you that we do not have to understand everything that you're telling us or get everything right or have all of the right answers for you to come and speak to us. Lord, as we close our time together, we ask for steady hearts and open minds as we continue reading. Lord, I ask you to help us release the pressure to rush or to perform or to prove anything to anyone. Lord, I ask you to teach us to listen and to sit with what we read and to trust that you are present in this process. Lord, I ask you to bless every single person who joined live and everyone who will watch later and everyone who is curious but still unsure. Lord, remind us that your word is living and patient and full of grace. Lord, as we continue to go from here and go into our nights, please give us restful sleep and comfort. Lord, wake us up next morning or tomorrow full of energy and strength. And Lord, help what we read tonight or tomorrow, whenever we're listening to this, linger with us in gentle ways. Lord, give us rest and clarity and peace as we carry it into our week and into our weekends. Lord, we place this study, this time, and ourselves in your hands. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen and amen. And Lord, thank you guys. Just truly appreciate you guys for being here. I know it's something different on a Thursday night. Appreciate you for watching and being here. And before we get out of here, I guess I could do a quick ad if I can find one real quick. We'll do, here it is, Rumble Wallet. So let's do this. Let's see if it'll, yeah, okay. They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control and they use it. That's why financial independence matters now more than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future. Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics, it's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. And actually, I set up my own Rumble Wallet. So that is now an option for you guys if that is what you decide to tip in, which is always appreciated. And I can you what that looks like real quick if you guys are unsure of what that is. Whenever you go to any of my shows or anything like that, down here at the bottom, you can see this new tip option. And that will be right where you can go and tip with crypto. But also make sure to hit that thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. Good night to everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you guys are watching this. Cam is correct. They can take our money, but they can't take our relationship with God. Amen to that. Good night, everybody. God bless you. Love you. And see you Saturday. Thank you.